Hey guys, what's going on? It's Ash here coming at you today in Raid Shadow Legends. How you guys doing? Welcome to the video. Today we're going to go over my very favorite champion in every single faction. Now, I had a decision to make when kind of aggregating this list for today's video. Do I put special emphasis, special value on free-to-play champions, on daily login reward champions, on rare champions, on common champions, etc.? And I decided not to. If you want to see a follow-up of my favorite value champions, my favorite free-to-play friendly champions, my favorite champions that everybody can get in this game, let me know and I will do so as early as this week for you guys. But for all intents and purposes, for today's video, it's just who is my favorite champion. There's going to be a lot of legendaries on the list. Fair warning right now, click off if that's not your thing. So anyway, number one is going to be Archmage Helmet. Surprisingly, he is not in the top 20 searches for champions right now in the game. I guess maybe not surprising because maybe a lot of people have not unlocked him yet in normal Doom Tower, but once you do, and you all will eventually, he's a beast, man. He is really like a legendary champion in epic champion skin. Rarity, whatever. And I really mean that. I'm not being hyperbolic here. First of all, his speed is on point at 108 base speed. You love to see it. On the A1, attacks one enemy, fills the champion's turn meter by 10%. Fills the turn meter by 20% if the attack is critical. Good. On his A2, amazing. Time Slip is an AoE stun on a 3-turn cooldown at 75%. To put this in comparison to another AoE stun on a 4-turn cooldown at a 75%, that would be Nethral's A2. That's a legendary champion. This is a better ability in my opinion. They both have extras too. After attacking, decrease the turn meters of each enemy without a stun debuff by 20%. So if you don't land that stun, you still get the turn meter decrease. This is on a 3-turn cooldown when booked. The downside is this dude takes a lot of books, seemingly like every champion they're adding to the game recently, but he is amazing. Time Slip, amazing. And then his A3, Psychic Guidance, is a tremendous ability on a 3-turn cooldown, increase speed, increase crit rate, and increase crit damage on all allies for 2 turns. This dude is amazing for the arena because he's nice and fast. He has a great buff. He starts out with the buffs, he autos into his A3, and then boom, he comes back around and stuns the entire enemy team. Also, he's immune to turn meter decreasing effects himself, which is really cool. He has speed in the arena by 17%, but he's not just good for the arena. For Spider, he's amazing as well. I really think he's one of the best complements to enemy max HP champions such as Royal Guard, such as Coldheart for Spider. Just a tremendous champion. Next up, High Elves. We have, so this one's a little bit different here. I don't have an all-star. I mean, who doesn't love Royal Guard, right? He is a beast champion, but I have to go with one of my OG loves in the game. It's Lyssandra. I think Lyssandra, in terms of speed boosters in the game, in terms of turn meter specialists, it doesn't really get much better than Lyssandra. Energize, increase speed on all allies for 2 turns, then fills the turn meter of all allies by 30%, then decreases the turn meter of all enemies by 30%. What a great ability Energize is with the increased speed, as opposed to, say, an Arbiter who does not have the increased speed in her kit. Has speed in all battles by 24%. One of the best speed all battle auras in the game. Exhaustion, an amazing ability, especially for Fire Knight, but really everywhere that, enemies are susceptible to turn meter. Fully depletes target's turn meter on a 3-turn cooldown. Thank you very much. Again, very, very fast on the speed at 110 as well. I love Lyssandra. I think she is an absolute, S-tier champion inside the game. This is the most pay to win. There's 2 void legendaries I'm going to include on the list. It's one of the champions on my list that I actually don't have. Certainly number 1 champion I would like to get, and he's one of the newest champions in the game in Cardiel. Oh my god, first of all, this dude looks freaking insane, man. Like one of the coolest looking champions, at least in my opinion, inside the game. On the A1, he has a heal all allies by 7.5% of their max HP. Then he has a True Fear debuff if the target is from one of these factions, which is a decent amount of factions, 4 factions, so definitely helpful. You can also book it up 7 levels. 7 levels on an A1, but you can get extra heal on there too, which is nice. On the A2, removes all all debuffs from all allies, block buffs, and revive on death. The revive on death cannot be removed on a 3-turn cooldown. That's like Sky Touch Shaman's A2, except for the revive on death cannot be removed on Cardiel, so he's a beast in the arena as well. He's fast at 106, good stats across the board. On his A3, increased crit rate, increased crit damage buff, all allies 2 turns, 4-turn cooldown. Then teams up with all allies to attack a target enemy, decrease the cooldown of this skill by 1 turn if an enemy is killed from the attack. Heavenly Host makes him incredibly viable, not just for arena, but for dungeons. This guy's just an absolute boss, but it keeps getting better. On the passive, Fiend Warden. Allies receive 20% less damage from those factions. Whenever an ally is attacked, he has a 15, make it 30 when booked chance to team up with them and join on their attack. And that goes back into his A1 that has the heal. So he has got a 30% chance to join every ally in every attack, thus giving more heals and more true fears. Wow. And then can only join allies to attack once per turn, blah, 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 blah. All right, cool. Next up, we have his speed in all battles by 19% on the aura. Cardiel, whoa. Yeah, he's my #1 most wanted champion in the game. You guys already know who I'm gonna go with on the Barbarians, at least if you've been watching this channel for any amount of time. You guys know I'm going right over to, I was gonna make it, Vala. No, I'm just joking. I was gonna go to,
and I got one question for you. What you doing?
I was gonna go to like a dumb champion, but we'll go with Scyl of the Drakes. Of course it's Scyl of the Drakes, man. The day she was released, kind of like Archmage Helmet, I was like, dude, this champion is an absolute game changer in Raid Shadow Legends. She's the best thing that Plarium has done low-key in the last year or so is introduce Scyl of the Drakes as a daily login reward champion after I think 180 days. On her A1, she has a decreased speed. On her A2, she has a 2-time hit with a 35% chance each time of landing a stun on a 3-turn cooldown. You guys know I'm a big fan of putting her in a stun set with Fearsome Presence Tier 6 Mastery. She's landing stuns incredibly consistently with this A2. You put her with Archmage Helmet, and we're talking a boss stun team. You put her in Archmage Helmet and Armina in the Barbarian faction in a stuns or on a stun team. Wow, really unique and fun and effective team to use, providing you have all those champions. Phoenix Wright revives an ally with 50% HP and then puts an ally protection buff on them for 2 turns. Fantastic. She has a revival as well. Oh, we're not done. Heals all allies by 10% of their max HP at the start of each turn. Also places increased speed buff on a random ally for 2 turns, because why not? Why not add an increased speed to an already amazing kit with an AoE stun, a heal every turn, and a revival, and a decreased speed, and damage based on defense, so she's tough to kill. Scyl of the Drakes is amazing. Just amazing champion. Ogryn Tribe. Guys, I was tempted to go actually with another daily login reward and go with Grush, who's grown on me tremendously since he was introduced to the game. But I'm going to go with the newer champion, Uugo. The new shiny object Uugo, who has she's changed the game for a lot of people. She has a leech on the A1, which is fantastic. On the A2, she has an AoE decreased defense, and then also has a 75% chance of placing a block buffs debuff, and then the chance of placing block buffs debuff increases for each enemy alive, getting it closer and closer to 100%. So decreased defense and a block buffs on a 3-turn cooldown is definitely a game changer. All of these champions like Duck the Pierce, like Uugo, there's a bunch of other ones added to the game, really takes away from the value as, you know, OG, there only used to be like 3 or 4 champions in the game, non-legendary, that had AoE decreased defenses, especially on a 3-turn cooldown. Now there's quite a bit in the game, but Uugo is my favorite. She also has removes heal reduction and then removes another random debuff from all allies on a 4-turn cooldown when booked, and then heals all allies by 20% of this champion's max HP. If they're dead, they revive them and then fills their turn meter instead if all allies are dead. So a little revival there as well. I'm a big fan of Uugo. She also has this final spite to increase speed, block damage on herself for 1 turn whenever she's the last champion alive after an ally is killed, giving her a fighting chance to get back into her A3 and get back into the game. All right, so that is Uugo. Love that champion. Next up, Lizardmen. Lizardmen. Well, this one's going to be a pay-to-win choice, guys, because I think the Lizardmen epics all pretty much suck, with the exception of maybe Jarek. But there's two god-like Lizardmen legendaries, especially. There's actually a lot of good ones here. I'm a big fan of Fushan now. However, I mean, Dracomorph is one of the best, if not the best, attack champions in the game, and Krisk is one of the best, if not the best, support champions in the game. Krisk, for me, I guess he made a larger impact on my account because I was able to go from like stage 13 in Faction Wars to stage 21 in Faction Wars just by getting one champion. That is absolutely insane. He has an AoE on his A1 with a decreased speed, an AoE on his A2 with an ally protect, continuous heals on himself, and increase the duration of all ally buffs by 1 turn. This is all on a 3-turn cooldown. On his A3, he has a provoke on all enemies for 1 turn on a 3-turn cooldown, and then an increased defense on himself, and then an increased speed on all allies. But really one of the best parts of his kit, and look at that defense, 1520 on his base defense. One of the best parts on his kit though, guys, is at the start of each round, excuse me, places a shield buff on all allies for 2 turns equal to 50% of his max HP, and then has a 100% chance of placing a decreased defense debuff and a 50% decreased attack debuff on the attacker whenever he is hit. Might of the Ages is an insane passive. I mean, you can run Krisk in the arena and eat up an entire nuke because you want to build him with a lot of HP. You get a shield every round, 50% of his HP automatic. It's better than a shield set built into his kit. Not to mention the decreased attack, decreased defense. I think that Krisk is still, you know, top tier champion in the game. Skinwalkers is my least favorite faction in the game, guys. I don't know about you guys, but I really struggled on this one. You know, it came down to 2 champions for me. First of all, the most underrated, he's not even that good, but I don't think he's trash. It's Urson Ironhide. I did a guide on him. He helped me out a lot in Faction Wars, but he's like my honorable mention. And then my other honorable mention is Steel Skull, one of the fastest epics in the game. Not the fastest, but up there at 111 speed with a really nice support kit with the poison on the A1 for Clan Boss. But I really do think Coronar, excuse me, is the coolest champion. I don't use him. I have him. I don't use him because he's like a jack of all trades, but an expert at none for a, you know, a whale pay-to-win-ish account like me. Ish, did I really say ish? Okay, and when you're in denial, right? All right, so Flourish of Slaughter, his A1. It's an AoE attack, and then has a 50% chance of decreasing each target's turn meter by 5%. This dude is an incredible kind of CC control champion because of this AoE on his A1 that has the 5% turn meter. We're going to get into why in a second. If Manaya's on the same team, he does extra stuff. I'm not going to read all that or we'd be here all day. Has a 75% chance 100 when booked on a 3-turn cooldown of placing a provoke debuff on all enemies, and then place a block debuff buff and an increased defense buff on himself for 2 turns. On his A3, an AoE attack with decreased attack debuff on all enemies for 2 turns, and then places decreased defense on all targets under the decreased attack debuffs. So a great ability, albeit on a 4-turn cooldown on battle walls. But it starts getting really cool when you look at this. Ferocious Guard, his first passive. It counterattacks when hit by enemies under decreased attack, decreased defense, and decreased speed. Always counterattacks when Manaya is on the same turn. And then places an increased defense buff on all allies for 2 turns if this champion kills an enemy. So he's counterattacking. His damage is based on HP, and he has a lot of HP at 27k, guys. Easy to scale that up. Really, really good. And then counterattacks whenever he's hit by an enemy with any of these debuffs. So as long as you have a team, you know, he has decreased attack and decreased defense in his kit already, but then add a decreased speed champion, he's always going to be counterattacking, and every single time he's counterattacking, he's doing turn meter reduction by 5%. It's really insane. All right, so let's go on to the next faction. It's going to be Orc. So Orc, this is an interesting one. There's a lot of honorable mentions here. I'm not going to name them all, but you know, I can't get away from Seer, man. I'm a big sucker for really, really good nukers in this game, and man, Karma Burn is as good as it gets when it comes to nukes inside this game. It is an enemy max HP ability that, you know, all you need to know about it is on a 4-turn cooldown, you strip away all the buffs from all your allies, you strip away all the buffs from all the enemies, you basically strip away every buff on on the board, build her with high accuracy for that reason, and then for every buff that you remove, you're doing extra damage. Think about Doom Tower. She was already a speed nuker specialist, if you will. Not good in the arena, but good everywhere else for dungeons. But then when Doom Tower came out, with wave after wave of all of these enemies that land just dozens of buffs, it seems like. Every time you look at the other side of the, the battlefield, you're just like, dude, they all have like 7 buffs at all times, especially as you get to higher stages in Doom Tower. Well, Seer comes in, removes them all, and then nukes them to death. Thank you very much. That's Seer. She does a ton of damage with this ability, and how can you not love Seer, right? All right, Demonspawn. So Demonspawn, another group of champions with a lot of good choices here. For me, it kind of came down to Achek the Wenderin, who's an honorable mention, who I have on my free-to-play account. Allure, who I used to use a lot before I got Lyssandra. And then I'm actually going to be a big fan of Sissia Flametongue. I did a guide on her just a day or two ago, 2 videos ago now. I'll include it in the description below in case you missed it. But boy, did she impress the hell out of me in that video. But I'm going to give it to my OG, the second legendary I pulled on my account. It's Prince Kymar. Prince Kymar is such a difference maker. His stats are solid across the board. He has Seal of Magic, resets the cooldown of all ally skills, fills the turn meter of all allies except this champion by 20%. He's actually the first legendary and only legendary I pulled on my free-to-play account as well, so maybe this is one of those, personal things with Prince Kymar. Epic. What? Prince Kymar? Actually, in my last shard opening video here on the channel on my main account, I think 4 videos ago now, I pulled a dupe of Prince Kymar, and he is a rare, well, he's legendary, but he's a rare case of me actually building out a dupe because I can get some sick times speed runs on Doom Tower. Who cares about speed runs on Doom Tower? Pretty much nobody, but it's fun to do when you have a dupe of a OP champion like this. So Prince Kymar. He also has an Abyssal Gaze, which deals a decent amount of damage on a 3-turn cooldown, but it removes all buffs from all enemies. That paired with his aura, speed and arena battles by 30%, makes him a very intriguing arena option as well. You don't really see much Prince Kymar in Platinum tier arena, but you see a lot of him in Gold 4. He's a great kind of control champion because of this, especially if you pair him with a hard single target damage dealing champion on the same team, who's instead of an AoE nuker who's going to wake everybody up who's already asleep. You could actually have some nice synergy just picking them off one at a time while they're all asleep. Sleep is kind of a crappy ability, but when used strategically inside the arena, it's not that bad. And then an AoE strong version of poison on his A1 Phantom Fire. Just a great champion, Prince Kymar. He really speeds up any battle that you are on, that you add him to. Okay, so Undead Horde, guys. Again, a pay-to-win option here. Honorable mention, you guys know I have a real soft spot for Dark Elhain. I'm just a big fan of her. I think that she is underrated still to this day. If you missed my last video on her in a reflex set, check it out. Just some insane stuff that she's able to do. I'll link that one for you in the description below as well. But yeah, Dark Elhain, really fun champion. But she's not even that great. But I'm just such a fan of Little Miss Annie. I love the aesthetic of Little Miss Annie. I think she was the first champion to ever be added to the game with 6 abilities. Granted, 2 of them are passive, or 6 things in her skill set, I should say. The reason I love Little Miss Annie so much is I think she's unique for a single target hitter in the game. There's so many single target hitters. I made a whole video about this in the game that not a lot of them are unique. It's just like, okay, so they do a lot of damage to one target. Like, who cares? But you can build a special team around Little Miss Annie. Granted, she's so tough to get and she's pay to win and all that stuff. I totally get that. But just look at her. First of all, she deals a ton of damage. A 3-hitter on her A1. On her A2, she's a 2-hitter with a perfect veil if it kills an enemy, which it usually does in the arena. And it's on a 2-turn cooldown as well, noteworthy. And then this, Playdate. Whoa. On a 4-turn cooldown, you don't even need to read it, basically. All you need to know about it is that it kills anybody. It kills anybody. I've never seen this ability fail to kill a Siphi, a Duchess, totally booked out in, ally protect and increased defense. She kills everybody. So really cool to have Playdate. It's one of the hardest hitting single target abilities inside the game. And then what makes her unique is when revived, she attacks the enemy that killed this champion with the default skill. Super cool, right? So you revive her, you put a reviver on the same team, she comes back to life, and she hits with Pretty Nails for A1, which is 3 really hard hits, usually killing, getting revenge on whoever killed her. That plus the aesthetic, I'm just such a huge fan of Little Miss Annie. Very cool champion. Not the best champion, certainly in the game, but a really cool one nonetheless. So my honorable mention here in Dark Elves is going to be Madame Ceres for all the reasons that you guys already know. But this is going to be my rare that makes the list. I'm just a big fan. I know it's like let's face it, the word is out on Coldheart. Coldheart is not a surprise to anybody. She's not even like a great addition on this list, but I still love her, you know? And when I say she's not a great addition because everybody knows her, it's just like fast forward 10 seconds, 20 seconds, who cares? But she's really good, you know? I mean, I wish, I mentioned this before, but I wish they'd make not just more champions that are rare champions, but more abilities that are this game-changing on rare champions inside the game. Just insane ability, you know, decrease the turn meter plus doing a couple million damage to the spider. Yeah, I'll take that all day, every day. And then, I mean, we focus so much on her A3. Her A2 is really good on 3-turn cooldown. She has a 4-hitter on her A1. I mean, that's insane. She's really, in my opinion, the best, bar none, the best Fire Knight champion inside the entire game. On a rare champion, that's really cool. Knight Revenant. Knight Rev. I forgot who I chose for Knight Rev. No.
I don't like that. I'm done.
I chose Miscreated Monster, the dude in my intro. How could I not? Another non-sexy pick. He's been in the game now for, over a year. But he has a stun on the A1. He has a stun on the A2. He has an ally protect on the A3. He heals himself. He puts fear whenever he's attacked or whenever an ally is attacked while they're under his protection. Just a very, very, very good champion that I'll never, my love for Miscreated Monster will never wane even as the years or the months go by. I just think he's such a cool champion. The legendaries in Knight Revenant, aside from the dude who I really want, Hegemon, they're a little underwhelming. I'm actually a big fan of Tomb Lord, but the rest of them are just like average at best, I would say. I think that Whirlum Frostking gets a bad rap because he is a void legendary that was added as part of the failed Battle Pass Season 1. We're never going to see a Season 2. However, I think that, he does have strengthen and increased defense, albeit on a 4-turn cooldown. He does have an AoE decreased crit damage, increased crit damage. I don't think he's a trash champion. He helped me out in Faction Wars. I don't know about you guys, but I think it's just disappointing that he's a void legendary. And then in terms of the dwarves, so dwarves, another kind of interesting category here. I want to give a big honorable mention to Gala Longbraids, who I'm really just a big fan of because of the sheer swagger. Grants an extra turn if this champion has full HP. It deals a ton of damage, and you can basically kill anybody in the arena and then come right back with the A2, attacking one enemy, ignoring 50% of the defense while attacking under a shield. So if you build the right team, the right kind of shield team around her, she can just like pop off all the enemies one at a time. A really, really fun, unique champion. It's tough not to go with Trunda too, the best arena nuker inside the entire game. However, I want to give love to Grizzled Jarl, a champion who people don't talk about enough. I feel like he's a really, really good champion. I leaned on him very heavily in Dwarf Faction Wars, which is considered to be the most difficult faction, crypt in the game. I'm not sure if it's still the same way with all the new champions. It's been a while, but has the heal reduction, damage based on defense, heal reduction on the A1, an AoE, block debuffs on all allies, and an increased defense for 2 turns on a 3-turn cooldown, a great ability. And then he has Earth Stomp, an AoE attack on a 4-turn cooldown, damage based on defense, it targets max HP by 30%, and places the decrease attack debuff on all enemies for 2 turns. So he's bringing decrease attack, he's bringing a very hardy character to your team that's difficult to kill because he's damage based on defense, an AoE attack at that. He has the block debuffs, which is great to have. He has the increased defense, he has the heal reduction as well. I just think that Grizzled Jarl is a really good all-around character that's bringing bring a lot to any team that he is on. So there you have it, guys. Those are my favorite champions in the game. My number one most favorite, that's a little redundant, huh? My number one most favorite champion in every single faction, guys. Thank you for watching all the way till the end. I appreciate you guys. Let me know what other kind of, I don't know, champions you want me to spotlight here on the channel. I appreciate you guys, and as always, take care.